Hey, Mortal Kombat fans. MCPFs. My name is Zach.
I'm Nathan.
And we are siblings, and this is the Moral Kombat Podcast.
Yes, we are. We are siblings.
This is a podcast where we discuss religious trauma, as we were both raised in the Christian evangelical church with a father who's a pastor and still a pastor. And we like to heal by communicating to each other about our religious trauma and interviewing people. We just had a wonderful interview with Jonathan Gaza. It went fantastic.
Yeah, that was our last episode.
Indeed.
2 weeks ago. 1 week ago. It'll be 2 weeks since when this is posted. 1 week since we've done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was wonderful. We are breaking barriers here on the MCP.
Indeed.
Moral Kombat Podcast.
What was your acronym? MCPFs?
MCPFs.
What's up, my MCPFs?
What's up, MCPFs?
I love it.
Yeah, we talk about a lot of stuff in this podcast. And this podcast didn't start off as a religious trauma from our past podcasts. It started off as shoot the shit, comedy, politics.
Well, this is episode 64, and we only were doing the Those Boys comedy for 10 episodes. So the first 10 episodes were that, but then everything after that seemed to resolve more
it was like the energy, it was like magnetism, everything kind of came to the center of conversation around us discussing our upbringing and our past trauma, and it led to us like having a lot of revelation with just so much that we've done in life and how much our past is connected to like why we did what we've done. And this podcast has lended us a lot of healing already. And so something that you and I have talked about for this episode going into the new year. Happy 2024, everybody.
Happy 2024.
This is being posted like January 4th, 5th, or 6th. I don't even know what date it's going to be posted, but we are in the new year. And we were really trying to figure out what episode we wanted to do for the new year, as this is being our first episode. We were even thinking about not podcasting because my fiance bought me tickets to a rave yesterday, last night in San Francisco for Christmas. And so, we talk about a lot of our past rave life, and I went out and in the most healed and safe way possible, an old person, went and raved.
How long did you rave, Nate?
2.5 hours.
Wow.
It was an 8-hour event. We made it for the last 2.5 hours. That's
you really went hard.
And so we were even thinking like it's New Year's. Tomorrow will be New Year's. It's New Year's Eve for us right now. We're thinking, well, maybe we just skip it. It's the holiday. And no, we did not decide to do that. We wanted to, as we have done a lot with this podcast, is push through and create the content that we love creating. And we were trying to come up with a conversation. We were like, what part of our trauma do we want to talk about for the new year? And we realized, God damn it, we really have healed a lot. And what I mean by that is like, does that mean that this year and a half, over a year-long podcast of so much we've talked about, we're just like better? No, but what I mean is we've had so much conversation together about our own history. It's really difficult just to go back and have very similar conversations just for the sake of content.
Yeah.
Because what we're talking about is like real shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's our shit. And so now that we've hashed it out so much and so deep that it's actually kind of difficult for you and I to come up with like things to talk about of our past all the time, because we really we're learning that this conversation is helping.
Mm-hmm.
So having Jonathan on sorry, not to interrupt.
No, you're good. I was about to interrupt you. Go for it.
I was just going to make the point that having Jonathan on as somebody that like we're just interviewing a person who's just alive and living, who also has trauma from their past religious upbringing, and having the attention on somebody for one episode on their trauma, we barely even touched the surface, it felt like, because you and I have done such a deep dive in our own experience. And that's what I'm really excited about going into the new year was I just have no doubt we're going to be able to meet so many people and hear so many stories briefly, vulnerable stories. And you and I are the lucky ones that really get to benefit from other people's experience and having that conversation with them, because we've been able to benefit from so much from each other. And I'm just saying that as like a good sort of segue introductory to what's the plans for the podcast going into our new year.
Well, I think you made a good point that it's just like we don't want to repeat ourselves. We totally could talk about the trauma of prayer again, but it's like, we did it. It's an episode.
Yeah,
you
we
can go
did it.
listen to it. There's no reason to document it again. The only reason would be we have new followers that we want to see it. And it's like, but we're trying to force them to see it if we were to do that.
It's more fake,
yeah,
right?
and it's like you can go back and it's legit titled that. Go watch
Right.
it. The quality's a little less. We look a little younger. That's great. Go watch it. We don't want to talk about it. But having, or it's not that we don't want to talk about it. We just don't think it's worth repeating ourselves. And
It's just hard. It's hard when it's real.
yeah. And it feels more valuable for us to start including other people in this conversation. And that's why we had Jonathan on. That's why we had Andy on to educate us about what's going on across the world. And we're trying to branch out and interview people and talk about their trauma, because that's really what this podcast was built for, was to not only help us heal, but to help others heal too, and to speak their truth.
Yeah, exactly. And whether that happens for the people we interview or not is on them and their experience. We are not the reason or the answer for how that happens, right? That's like, we talked so much about that on this podcast, that the savior complex is constantly inching its way into us. Like maybe we're meant to do something more. And like a lot of this is just us wanting, we feel that it's a really important conversation, and within diversity, there's power.
Mm-hmm.
And we are two perceived white men. And even though we've broken down sexuality so much on this podcast, that's what we are.
Yeah.
And that's a privilege. So one of the major goals moving forward in our interviews that we know that we are going to be able to really branch out and start talking to other people is we really want to talk to other people, or people that have suffered from other religions than our own, to really start to learn more of what this idea of religious trauma is outside of our own upbringing or our own religious upbringing.
It's already interesting enough just to hear people talking about different denominations. Like having Jonathan talk about Seventh-day Adventists was like fascinating. I had no idea.
Yeah, the level of perfectionism. Like that's
and
why
education being like really
it's
involved.
like, do you have friends that are Seventh-day Adventists? Are they all perfect? Yes. Are they all super nice? Yes. Well, I'm starting to learn why.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a pretty amazing quality from that one.
Yeah.
The other goal that's just so important that we're vocalizing now and talking about to each other in our pre-productions for our show is how when we branch into our interviews, when we start reaching out, something that isn't necessarily easy for Zach and I, but is going to be very important, is that we reach out to people of color and women of color for our podcast. And because these are the communities that we can learn so much from and that we need to have diversity in, and is important for us to establish on our show so much. And so that's major goals that we are setting, to have more conversation with others and extremely diverse conversations, and that population being diverse as well. Because we know our story. We know it.
Totally.
I want to learn about stories that I literally have no idea what their experience must have been like. And I think that ultimately would help my own experience and theirs.
Yeah, totally.
Also, Zachary, your hair, if you're watching our podcast, thank you. We are a visual podcast. We put a lot of work into our visual performance.
Put a lot of work into be visual.
So if you're here on the YouTubes or TikToks or anywhere else, the Instagrams where you're seeing things visual, you'll see that Zach's hair is turning into that of a superstar. You look like a Hollywood. You could be Timothy Chalamet if you wanted, if Timothy Chalamet was actually pretty looking, you know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
I got you, baby.
The hair is getting longer, and that is the goal. The goal was
to grow it out. You've wanted to. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. And I'm here now. I think I'm past like the super awkward phase. But it's still pretty. The sides, man, can get pretty weird. I'm Alex, my fiance, is really pushing me to not get a haircut yet, because I'm not trying to cut it. I'm trying to get it trimmed to grow longer, because the sides were shaved. Yeah, and then now they're here, and so it's just like this.
Yeah, I know. Well, it looks that way to you. It doesn't look as
well. No, yeah, I have it slicked back.
Us Blawstones have the side hair.
Yeah,
poofy side hair. Yeah. My hair is really thinning in the front, and so when I get haircuts, it's crazy how much my hairline's going back, but it's staying poofier on the sides and thinning on top. We're on the way, people. We're on the way. And I'm wearing a scrub top because I'm a goddamn nurse, and that's a huge part of my life. And
what's so funny is when I showed up today,
I brought it out today.
When I showed up today, I thought Nate was just trying to have like a cool new fashion of like wearing scrubs. It'd be cool.
It is not a cool new fashion. It's a very old school fashion.
I know.
Also, before we jump into today's cast,
we got new mugs.
Megan, my fiance's mother for Christmas, got us personalized Moral Combat mugs.
With our names on it. Red.
Well, your finger's covering your name.
Red.
You have those big guitar fingers.
I will poop on your face.
Moral Combat, Nathan and Zach. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So thoughtful.
Thank you, Mrs. Faust. We love you. It was so wonderful. They were in town. My in-laws were in town for the holidays.
Oh, vodka.
Yeah.
Ah, God, dude, I did not know you did that.
We're sober. It'll be tomorrow, New Year's, will be the 2-year mark of my sobriety from alcohol.
Wow.
Woof.
Except for that one night.
I wish. No, I don't wish. But like, if there was,
Yeah.
Cheers. Why don't we jump into today's episode?
I want to talk about what we have never discussed on this podcast yet.
Oh, that's right. We could have done this earlier. We
needed
to do this earlier.
All right. MCPFs, aka Moral Combat fans. It has been an amazing journey with all of you here, and as our followers have grown, I have realized that not many of you utilize our phone number. We have a Moral Combat phone number which you can call and text. Anything you want us to talk about, anything you want us to discuss, comments, questions, or anything. It would be a fun episode for us when we don't have interviewees. Interviewees, is that correct?
Sure. I like it.
To answer y'all's questions. And I think there's enough of you here that have questions that would want us to either talk about a certain topic about religious trauma or even jab at us and tell us something about like we're burning in hell.
Yeah.
We want to talk about it here. So call the number. The number is 1-707-356-8186.
You're going to repeat it?
1-707-356-8186.
Because you have to repeat numbers twice, right? That's like the whole thing.
That's the whole thing.
This is the Moral Combat Podcast phone line, and that is at 707-356-8186, and that was 707-356-8186. If you are hearing this right now and you're immediately like, oh my God, I'm going to try it. Don't expect like a response fast or something. This isn't like an emergency hotline. This is a contact line that goes directly to the producers and managers of this show.
Us.
And they will get in contact with the performers, Zachary and Nathan of this show. Us. So that's a pretty amazing thing.
It's a pretty direct line. And you know what? There might be a time in this podcast history where that isn't the case and there is someone filtering those questions. So I would say if you really care about getting your question answered, utilize the fact that no one is using this number. And if you call in or send us a text, at some point, your question will probably be answered.
Yes. Thank you for that, Zachary. We've had that for a long time.
We have, and we haven't ever mentioned it on this podcast.
No. We haven't.
But we have a lot of things to take care of, and we have a lot of things going on at one time. So I don't blame us.
I
for
love it.
that.
This is a great experiment on organic growth.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Totally.
We do it as we do it. We get what we get.
And then you get gotten.
Let's jump into it.
Let's go.
We've been talking for 18 minutes. What an intro.
Well, we remember the intro was
15 minutes or so.
Sloppy, as you said.
But that's okay because this podcast was just about mainly us talking about the stuff we're talking about. And then you heard it, folks. No, you haven't heard it yet. We're about to tell you. Okay. A
moment to read it.
Here on the Moral Combat Podcast, we have a segment that we've been doing for over a year now called A Moment to Reddit. On A Moment to Reddit, this segment for the Moral Combat Podcast, Zachary and I, individually on our own time, like to go on to the app Reddit, which you've maybe heard before, and we follow specific forums related to religious trauma, like the forum ex-Christian, ex-Presbyterian, ex-Catholic, religious trauma, atheism.
Although I got banned from atheism.
Zachary did get banned for really funny reasons. And because there's a strict mods on these forums.
Strict mods.
On how you share shit and whatnot.
I was trying to inform someone that we talked about their information on our podcast, their religious trauma. And they banned me because they were like, you can't tell people that you can't use, I don't know what it was. I think you couldn't post links.
And so, yeah, lesson learned. We do this where we find posts from just people like us, people like you. If you're listening, it's people like you, where if you wanted to get on Reddit and you were like, I need to get this off my chest because I suffer from religious trauma, or this pisses me off about how religion in this country is, or wherever you are in the world, people do this almost every day where they're just vulnerably sharing their past trauma, crazy stories, and we get on there, find posts, find comments, read them here on the cast, and then talk about them together. It's a great way for us to use other people's life stories or traumatic experiences and their vulnerable expression of them for content for us to talk about, because we relate to almost everything that we find. And so let's jump into it.
Let's go. And we're doing the Moment Reddit a little different this time. I have 3 or 4 posts that I chose that Nate hasn't seen, and then he has 3 or 4 that he's chosen that I haven't seen. And we're going to kind of throw them at each other so that it's not necessarily something that we both are ready to respond
it's funny.
to.
I have a feeling that we might have some repeats. There's stuff in here that I already see that I found. That's funny.
That's a repeat. That's good. That means we're both looking at the same stuff.
We're going to start with, do you want me to read them? Do you want to read your own?
I think we should both read our own.
All right. So why don't you start?
All right. So here we go. This is from Facepalm. I thought that it was interesting because it wasn't a religious Reddit. We normally are on, like you said, ex-Christian, religious trauma. I just said. This is from Facepalm.
Facepalm.
And it's Anchored Radiance.
That's their name.
That's the user.
Anchored Radiance.
Do people actually think this? ? If there is no God, why don't atheists indulge in their darkest desires? I know you have probably heard this argument before, but I have yet to meet an atheist engage with the argument honestly. According to many theists, God is the source of all morality. It is sound logic. You, if have moral laws, you need a moral lawgiver. Under an atheist framework, though, who is the moral lawgiver? It can't be the government because governments have different laws. There is no source of objective morality to tell you that indulging in evil desires like effing kids or strangling someone who pisses you off or praising Hitler is wrong. So why don't you do it?
I have to reread this. I'm a little confused what they're even saying.
So they're saying, and this is a very common argument that Christians, I'm just going to use Christians because it's direct my knowledge to, say that God gives them their morality. So without God, what's going to stop you from just, killing your wife, having sex with your son, just giving into sin because sin feels so good.
Like if it wasn't for God, people would be going crazy. But isn't that what already happens?
It's just the dumbest argument, man.
If there is no God, why don't atheists indulge in their darkest desires? But for Christians,
there's
for
Christians
Catholics,
that indulge in their darkest desires too.
Well, there is a God. That's why I fuck kids.
Exactly.
Right? That's but the thing is whoever's posting this is obviously not the priest who has done that, because it's very obvious that priests that do fuck kids are using religion in the Catholic Church to get to their darkest desires.
Yeah.
Because it's like a tool.
It's power. It's power. That's all it is. Power and control. It's not real. Religion is power and control. We just talked about spirituality in episode 62, and that's the real. But the religion just takes all of that and says, let's oppress you and let's oppress them and give us some money because we're in control.
Interesting.
But my response to that is I have a brain and I'm a human and a spirit, and that gives me my morality. I know killing people is pretty bad, and I know touching kids and having sex with them is pretty horrible, and I'm just not going to do it. And Hitler killed a lot of people. He's a pretty bad guy, and I don't believe in a God.
Yeah.
So there's my morality. God's not giving it to me.
Yeah. It's funny. I think that this first post that you found or we brought up, this is just bringing up this very, very long arching question about morality, right and wrong, good and evil. Is there such a thing? And Plato and Socrates and all this history of people that have been talking about this for millennia. And being able to use that conversation of morality, and you put God in the middle of it, right? That's what Christians do, right?
Yeah.
They everything is, you need God. Everything needs God in the middle of it. And the only way to get to God is because of Jesus. So you need Jesus to get to God, but you need God in the middle of everything. And then, so that's the glue. That's and there's no way out of that. So that's the same argument here, right? Is it kind of one way or the highway? So if there wasn't a God, there'd be no way.
Yeah.
And so if you don't believe in God, why aren't you just being the worst evil part of yourself? And it's kind of like, well, maybe not all humans have the same evil desires as
You
do.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so sorry you have those desires.
And maybe that religion, like in one way, like takes the human brain and just like, don't do any of this. And anybody that does that's evil. And then that brain is like, don't do that. And anyone that does that is evil. So all they're thinking about are the bad things they're not supposed to do.
And, we have proven with science that when you try not to think something, you have to think it.
Yeah.
It's like, don't think about an orange elephant. Sorry. All of you just thought about an orange elephant.
Nope, I did not.
Well, you imagine it for
No, I did. I did right away. I literally thought of an orange elephant. That's a great thought, by the way. An orange elephant is a great thought.
All right, I have a comment here from OKDog4059.
Ooh.
I'm more worried about the person who doesn't RAPE kids and strangle people only because they fear God.
Why did you spell it out because you think we'll get censored?
Well, the R word and anything talking about effing kids, yeah, it censors it pretty hard.
Well, I love that you're the one that first post Zach finds is the most graphic.
It's a pretty graphic post.
Classic Zach, everybody.
I thought that was a really good point, though. I'm worried about the people who are like we just mentioned, who are talking about doing these things, and I won't do it because of God, and that's their only reason. That if God wasn't real, then I'm going to have sex with all these children. Yeah. I'm going to believe in Hitler. I'm going to kill people and strangle them just because they piss me off.
Yeah. You know, dude, one of the greatest things about God in my life is that if it wasn't for God, I'd be out there just fucking everything I see, murdering.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, then you keep believing exactly what you believe in then.
Yeah, it's keeping us safer.
Good for you.
Good for you.
Let me ask you a question. Do you ever have any doubt in what you believe? No, never. That's the thing, man, is everyone doubts. So these people that are like saying that God is what's keeping them at bay, they're going to doubt that belief. And what happens when they doubt?
Well, God's going to burn you in hell. You can't doubt that.
No, but if they do doubt, they're going to have moments of failure, which is where they're going to be out there fucking everything they see.
Doing a bunch of heroin. All right, your turn.
Such an aggressive first Reddit post. It's like the whole episode's censored now. Moving on. No, that was a good one. Thank you, Zachary.
Yes, sir.
I already see the one that we had it copied together, so I'm going to go to do that one because you already know which one that is.
Okay.
This is from the ex-Christian Reddit forum, and this is by user Big Fantastic 9414. Oh, Fig Fantastic. Sorry. Big Fantastic.
Oh yeah, this one was a super good one. I love this one.
This is abused by God. My first abusive relationship was with God. It says, conditioned to not trust in myself, to not think for myself, to not listen to my needs, to repress natural desires and feelings, conditioned to believe I am worthless, broken, and sinful, conditioned to believe I needed to be saved, and in order to be saved, I needed to submit myself completely to his will, whatever may come. Threatened that if I ever spoke up against abuse or voiced my questions, I would be shunned. And in all that, I was taught to believe this was from a loving God. Woof.
Yeah, woof.
Fig Fantastic posted this, and they said, my sister sent this to me a few days ago, and I find it very relatable. So do we.
100%.
It's an extremely abusive relationship.
Yeah.
And I know that we have talked a lot about, that's why we have this podcast.
Yeah.
I found a comment on this post that just copied and pasted from like the National Abuse website of like people abused by partners, and I totally forget the name of it. I should have like saved this post, but I didn't because it was so long. But it was basically on that website. It was like if somebody in your life, a partner or a family member or anybody in your life is making you feel this way, then there's an abuser in your life. Because one of the classic qualities of having an abuser in their life is them not being able to like come out, actively say, this is my abuser and they're abusing me, right? It's like conditioned to keep it private, and you're like gaslighted, and you're like dumbing yourself down, and shame and guilt and fear and all of this. And on the person's post, they posted all of the parts that were just like, my abuser makes me feel this way. My abuser shames me for this. My abuser does this. And the person just said, replace pastor or church. right? Because when you're reading about, like, we all believe that people can be abused, right? So I'm thinking right now, like a married couple or a couple, and the dude's abusing the girlfriend or abusing the wife over years. And as a nurse, we have to ask people in the hospital, every patient's asked, are you safe at home? Is there anybody abusing you at the home? Sometimes we have the partners leave the room to ask that question. Has it happened that some people respond and say, I'm being abused? Yes, very rarely. But then that starts this whole process of getting the authorities involved and having to, it's just crazy. But it's such a, doing that, it has to be such a private, like, is there anybody abusing you in your life? So to look at that same perspective of just this idea of abusers in people's lives and how you find safety, and there's safe houses for people that are being abused that they can run off to, and your fiance used to work for them.
Yeah.
And it's like, think of, just replace all of that mentality with religious trauma and thinking of the relationship with a Christian God or Islam God or Jewish God or whatever God out there that is taking yourself out of you.
Yeah.
And being like, deny yourself, pick up your cross and give it to God.
Yeah.
Deny your truth and put, it's God that has you. You get out of that relationship, or you're in that relationship, and it's like, hey, is there anybody in your life that's abusing you? And the Christian's like, yeah. You're like, who? And they're like, God. Everybody in my church is telling me to deny myself. And you're like, what? Right? It's like, it's so easier to see it.
Yeah.
It's like, if anyone tells you, like, hey, you need to deny yourself, it's like, that's abusive.
Yeah.
The whole relationship is abusive.
Yeah.
And as we've learned, and you can go into the comments right now, there's so many comments in what we post that are
abusive,
reestablishing and saying, you're the lost, you're going to burn in hell, you'll be back, sinner. Like, forgive them, God, they don't know what they do. Like, all these comments we have, they're just like blaspheming, like just telling us how awful we are.
Yeah, don't forgive us, God. We know exactly what we're doing.
It's so easy to see. But yet, even I, reading these comments and coming from this extremely abusive relationship that we do come from, sometimes I'll read these abusive comments and I will feel starting to cower. Like, I literally will be like, oh my God, like, the same things have been said to me for so long, and since I was a young teenager, that they work. Where it's like, damn, that's like, I'm feeling like this sort of like I'm caving in because it's abusive. And the gaslighting, and you're kind of like, there's like this feeling of like, every once in a while, there's that hidden feeling from the abusive relationship that we were born into, that's kind of like, but what if they're right? There's always that abusive thoughts that you're having to grow out of because there's so much of that like type of relationship that holds you down.
It's true.
And so it's kind of like, if someone were to ask me and be like, have you ever been in, like an abusive relationship? And I'm thinking of like God, I'd be like, yeah, and I'm still healing from it. Right? Yeah. It's real.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say on that, or?
I think you said enough.
I said a lot.
You said enough.
I always do that. Right here, Chris Son LTD 312 says, yep. To be fair, he did punish our entire species because 2 naked people ate a fruit and then killed himself to save us from himself, only to resurrect and spend the next 2,000 years gaslighting us about it. I should have seen the red flags.
Yeah, and I just want to say, Chris, if that's your actual name, or if it's just the beginning part of your username, don't kick yourself for not seeing it. Cults have a great way of like making you not see the red flags and then make you feel bad for even thinking there's a red flag, especially when you're in this abusive of a relationship. Yeah. So don't feel bad, man. It took us a long time to get out too.
Yeah, I think they're being sarcastic. I think that was a brilliant comment. I love it. And the funny thing is, it is really hard to see the red flags when you're in it. And the moment you leave and see that they're red flags, all the red flags say you're the red flag.
Yep.
So you have to go find the other red flags now that you're the red flag to be like, am I really the red flag? And they're like, we're all the red flags.
We're all red flags, baby.
Everyone's a red flag.
Yeah.
Don't you get it? We're humans.
Yeah.
Humans.
And being human is terrible in the Bible. You're just the sinner.
Yeah, it's bad. It's
luckily
bad.
God killed himself for you.
Even though you were made in God's image, it's really bad to be God's image. You sin in God's image.
Yeah.
All because of the first 2. They ate that damn fruit.
The darn people ate the fruit.
All right, Zach, you're up. What are we doing?
All right, this comes from ex-Christian Santa Cruz _Suze.
_Suze. Santa Cruz.
_Suze.
Love it.
Noah just took.
What?
I'm gonna restart that. Noah just look at all the evidence of God's love surrounding us on this ark. All right, here we go. Must have been awe-inspiring to stand on the ark's deck, some prehistoric coffee in hand, and gaze down at all the bloated, floating corpses and think, God is love.
So it's funny because, both of us are like looking up posts, and I found this one too. And so the image is Noah standing on the ark, seeing all the dead people, like all of humanity, all of like all of the living, everything that was living is now dead and like in the
God
ocean.
needed to humans got too sinny. They sinned too much, so we had to with the flood, everything, kill them all.
And Noah's like how old? Like 700.
Yeah.
Only his sons and daughters are on the ark, right?
Yeah.
It's like his family.
Yeah, it's just his family.
He's just
his family, and I think maybe a cousin.
It's like, our God is an awesome God, he reigns. It's just
all these bodies just floating around.
It's just straight up disease coming off the ocean floor, just like green goo. It's just like so much death and decay.
Yeah. And that's God's love, baby. That's some good love. That's the agape.
No one said love was meant to be fun.
Sounds abusive. All right, I have a comment here I want to read from Heavy Valor.
Heavy valor.
Yep. God as murderer of so many men, women, and children, as well as other animals, all to try to prove a point about the superiority of God and that obedience equals life and disobedience equals death. That God created the 10 Commandments, rules for everyone, yet those same rules don't apply to God himself. Kind of interesting how it is that way. I never thought of God in that way when I was a Christian. Now that I have left the religion, it is truly eye-opening how much I was told it all made sense somehow, because it totally doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
It's true.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. The second you're out, you're like,
but when you're in it,
oh yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Well, it's like kind of like a rat in a rat race, right? Or a mouse, like in a lab. They put him in a maze.
Mm-hmm.
The mouse has to go through the maze to find the cheese.
Mm-hmm.
It can't see out. It doesn't know it's in a lab. It just does its thing, and that's its purpose. And it knows if it gets this way, it finds the food.
Yep.
Boom, does the task. It's done. But if the mouse could get out of the maze and be aware of itself and be self-aware and be like, oh my God, I'm a mouse surrounded by people that can control me and put me into these mazes where ultimately I need food.
Yeah.
But I can't see out of the walls. Like, that's where you're like, it's on a level where you are the mouse in that maze.
Mm.
And now, if you've walked away from your faith, walked away from religion, you're not like being dumbfounded or like realizing it doesn't make sense. You're kind of like, wait a minute. I've been in this like experiment that's been around for only so many years. And there's all these different, maze races in Christianity and all these different doctrines. They're basically the same maze, but just built differently, all part of the same fucking lab.
Yep.
And who are these people running the lab? And why do they get to choose everything?
Yep.
What's outside of the lab? What's outside the door?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you can't go outside the door because you're just a mouse, and mouse don't have no opposable thumbs.
But if you go outside the door, you're never going to get any cheese. Wait, there's cheese everywhere.
There's cheese everywhere. And in fact, there's like a sky and there's grass and there's just like multiple other labs all over the world. That's how I think of like the universe and space, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you could get outside the door of your mind that is so Christianity constructed to be black and white in one way or the highway, and you get out and you realize it's all lab, you're like, boom. Oh my God, what do I do now? What do I do? You have to spend a lot of time learning about that lab.
Yeah.
How the lab works and why are they doing this? And then you like the human condition, and it's like, religion might be an evolutionary part of evolution.
Yeah.
Like people coming together as a community to believe all one thing for survival, like part of survival. The problem is that there's different humans all over the planet evolved at different rates in different ways, but they all have their specific religions that all kind of relate, all for the sake of survival.
Mm.
because of evolution. But then these religions kind of defer. And so the weird thing about choice is that humans get to kill each other if they say the other ones did bad. And so they have all these evolutionary religions for the sake of survival that have now become the opposite of evolutionary survival. It's getting in the way of survival. It's becoming like a hindrance to evolution.
It really is. 100% is.
Sorry, I just made sense of what doesn't make sense. You're welcome. Boom! This is the Mortal Kombat podcast. You just became a fan. Oh, that was a good one, Zach.
All right, you.
I'm up. Okay, I'm up. I have a post here that's just, I'm a wordy person. Everyone knows that if you listen long enough, I can give a wordy answer. So I have a wordy post.
You're so wordy.
And I can do the worded post. Here we go. This is long. Longer than usual, but it's good. From the Religious Trauma Forum, user What's Wrong With Me 223. Nothing. Would appreciate some advice from people who have healed their religious trauma. Well, Zach, this one looks like it was written for us.
Okay.
Just kidding. We haven't. We're healing.
Healing. Always healing.
Always healing. I've been consciously putting an effort to heal, but this holiday season has been hard on me. I just want to not care at all when I see the "Keep Christ in Christmas" signs and other Christian propaganda. I'm in a group chat with my husband's family, and his new stepdad sent a nativity scene image to the group, knowing there are several of us in there that don't believe in that. I personally found it inconsiderate, but my logical side knows it was innocent, and he has the right to share his beliefs, and he also doesn't realize that stuff triggers me. Part of me wants to tell him I'm healing from religious trauma and educate him on how Christmas was stolen from the pagans. But the other part of me really wants to let go and just not give a shit. I tell myself, let them believe whatever they want. It doesn't affect you. But for whatever reason, it still bothers me. How do I heal and stop caring? I just want to let go.
Really deep.
The one thing I found interesting about this post and why I saved it was it literally it's still very different, but it's same, but different. Like, this is our lives. We have family group texts with our father and mother who are pastors.
Same things are being texted in.
And so there's probably a lot of similarity going on in a lot of people's lives with these group texts with Christian parents or religious fanatic evangelical family members. What do you say to that?
We aren't here to solve anyone's problems. So I want to say that first, but I was listening to Mel Robbins, if you know who Mel Robbins is.
Who's Mel Robbins?
She's a big in the podcast world now. She's had a podcast that's kind of blown up, but she's like a motivational speaker.
Okay.
Not necessarily someone I'd be like, I get all my advice from her, but she has some really amazing tools and advice, and it always blows my mind because she has a very, I don't really connect with her as a person, and I don't really connect with some of her ideas, but then she'll say something, I'm like, for some reason that really connects with my anxiety and my trauma. But on a recent podcast she has this theory that she does called the let them theory, where you'll start living your life when you just let everyone else around you have their own feelings, their own opinions, do whatever they want. And you stop trying to ever control them, because that trigger that this person's talking about is you're trying to make sure people don't trigger you. You're trying to control them, when in reality, it's just they're not going to stop believing. This is their reality. And as much as you don't want that reality to be a real thing, and you see how it's corrupt, it's like, no, you're going to have to just let them be, and just you live you be you. And that'd be my advice, is they even said it in this post, I want to let them, it's let them just do it. And, I don't know. You could also take other steps as getting out of that group chat. If it's actually going to be triggering to you, start setting boundaries. And that's something I've really learned in 2023, is that sometimes you just have to be the mature adult in your relationships with your parents or your adults around you, and just set boundaries, as awkward and as stupid as you may feel. But just being like, hey, I'm healing, and this is a boundary. I don't want you to cross it. And now if they cross it, they're actually fighting against you. And then you can kind of see that it's way more blatant, and you're just like, nah. But boundaries is a big one too. But that let them theory really helps me for some reason.
Damn. That's a really good point, man. That was really good advice. I totally agree with all of that. When I read it, I'm thinking where I'm at, because I struggled with this most of my life, wanting people, not always with friends. Mostly like when I'm thinking of from like this post, I'm thinking of our parents.
Yeah.
I'm even thinking like, when I first walked away and like most people were in the church and like most people I knew were in the church. And so the way they would talk to me about stuff and,
there was specifically someone in the church, sorry, this just came into my head, that called you dead man the second you walked away. At 15, they started calling you dead man. And to this day, they'll still call you dead man.
Yeah, I know.
And I think that's so rude that they do that.
I never did. You want to know why I never thought it was rude? Well, actually, there's some personal things to that person and personal things with them that I've had so much. Everyone matters. Every single person everyone deserves space to be a human being. And I think like why, like certain people like your parents, you might have a lot more of a like super personal, emotional response to everything because there's so much history and normal parental trauma and like crazy history. So like not everyone has the same effect on everybody. And, but yeah, there was a lot of people who said shit when I walked away. That was just kind of like,
especially to a child.
But so many of those people, man, at such a young age, even though I would feel this rage, it was so pointless to try to like tell them they were wrong or why I thought they were wrong. And I try to just put this post on my own life right now, like with our parents and our family like this Christmas. And like you and I both, I left a family group text 2 years ago. It was like a bunch of us from immediate family. And there was a lot of like Trump was still president. It was like 2020 or something like that.
We both left that one.
And I like, because there was just so much, a lot of times like evangelical Christians, like they're not just preaching the gospel. They're political as frick.
Yeah.
And emotional. And so there's like every issue in the world can become an issue that they need to share their opinion on. And we were raised by that. That's in our families.
Yeah.
Whether they're people in our family that are religious or not, right? I think that's like part of like culture. People love to just talk about shit that doesn't fully affect them so that they can have an opinion. And ultimately you end up talking about shit that isn't any real issue of what's going on in this planet. Like the planet heating up. It's much easier to make that a huge conflict in religious circles and as something to be like, global warming is an evil thought and it's making our children stupid. And it's like, no, it's so real. It's like, that's it. Like, can we just talk about why it's real and how we can maybe fix it? And is there ways to like, right, it becomes this huge conflict about religion and like how it impacts the religion. And I think like all of these conversations this person's talking about, like, how do I not care? And it's like, well, the only way I stopped care, like I always care. I still, like, even though I am so not involved in having conversations with mom and dad anymore that are like political, I don't even really respond to the things I get triggered by. When I used to yell and respond to everything. And I still care so much, but like the difference is that I have been able to focus so much more of my energy on just, this sounds egotistical, but it's not actually, me. All my energy just on me, not anybody else. If we're worried about how other people feel about us, or how other people live their lives, then we're going to reflect other people's experience back at them. So if you have a parent that's like, you need to hear this, Christmas needs Christ, needs Jesus Christ needs to stay in Christmas. You're going to reflect that and be like, no, I care that you know why that's bad. And it's like, but if you could just focus on you and only you around life, like this is your experience, then maybe there wouldn't be as much reflectiveness of other people. You wouldn't worry as much as what other people thought because you're just worrying about what you think of yourself, which is ultimately the most important thing. Yeah. Right? And because none of this shit affects anybody else unless like you make people feel really, really bad for it. Just for living. Yeah. And
going back to this comment or this post, to know that your trauma is real. Someone that didn't suffer in the church the way you did or coming out of it suffer, looks at that same post from that person in the text thread and just doesn't. It's like, oh, cool. Someone expressing that way they celebrate Christmas, and it just doesn't even affect them. How could it? Why would it? Whereas like us, it's like, yeah, we just had the same thing happen with our parents, and they have a big thing that they put on at their church every Christmas, and it's a very big event here in town.
Yeah, living nativity.
The living nativity, they get a bunch of real camels, and it's a very big thing, and they have a human, what would they call it? Manger, and they do a real baby, and it's this huge thing, and a bunch of pictures got sent, and instantly I was just like, I wanted to leave the chat, and it's nothing against, it's not them, it's that it triggers me, and it's all me, and that's where you have to just be like, they're never going to stop doing that though, so I just have to let them be them.
But that's so hard.
Oh, it's that's where it's like some things just become boundaries.
These are the people that were a huge part in raising us as kids and then impacting us as adults based on their views of us because we want their love. And so the feeling is like, I want them to love me. I want them to love me the way I want to be loved.
Yeah.
So we care because it's like, don't they get it? Because we want love.
They don't.
We
get
need
it,
love because we're all people that need love, and we have our parents. And if you're lucky enough to have your family still in your life, and you're wanting to try to have a relationship with them, even though they're somewhat abusive based on the religion they follow, that's a difficult. It's just difficult.
It is,
and it's going to be hard not to care if you're wanting a relationship with the people that aren't loving you unconditionally. They're loving you conditioned based on their religion, but yet they gaslight you, and you being the one that has conditioned love.
Yeah.
It's a spiral.
It is.
And so it's okay for it to be like, the person's like, how do I like just not care? And it's kind of like, well, maybe you'll stop caring as much the moment you realize it's okay to care as much as you do.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between like care out of the need for love, or because you do love that person. So I care about them and how they're treating me because I love them. That's different than being like, I've been hurt. You need to know why.
Yeah.
That's a victim.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not your fault, but that's still a victim being like, you hurt me. I'm a victim. And now you're going to learn why.
Yeah.
And that's basically what they are doing first at you.
And you could even separate yourself further, and they're actually not hurting you. It's the religion that's hurting you. And just because they're a part of it and they're facilitating it and they're texting you images of their aggressive religion and the way they celebrate Christianity or Christmas, that's the religion. That's the cult. It is not your. I say this to you all the time. Our parents are they're just lost in a cult. Don't blame them. Blame the cult. Blame the religion. And that helps, at least for me, helps
and
me.
set boundaries.
And because they're still in it, you have to set boundaries because they want you back in it. They really want you back in it. That's the only thing they dream about. And so you have to be like, there's a boundary here. When you get triggered, just if it really is going to trigger you the next time and you know it, just put that boundary up. Yeah. And if it's you leaving a text thread, then leave a text thread and be honest on why you left it. Communicate it, because communication is really powerful, and there's a lot of love in just being honest. So just be honest. Yeah. And don't hurt or hate anybody. Just be loving awareness and be aware that you were triggered.
Damn, dude.
All right, so we both do one more and then we should be good.
Hold on, there's 2 comments I want to read on this post.
Dude, this was a wordy one. All right, go for it. This is a great post, though.
It's a great post, but I also think these comments are really good because you just really did drop some gold, and I was reflecting on it more as like personally where I'm at in our family, and it's because I think anyone suffering from religious trauma, or not suffering, but has a religious family that they're not religious with, is going through similar shit.
Yeah.
This person, the light behind your eyes, says, I wouldn't say I'm healed, as I don't think I ever will be fully, but I'm more immune to this stuff, I guess. I'm going to be honest. The holidays are real hard for people like us. But how do I deal with it? It's just realizing that most of these people don't mean any harm, and it's just what they know. Is it right? Not always. But it's easier to let them shout about keeping Christ and Christmas than arguing. It's such a dumb thing to argue about, and it's less energy to sometimes just let them say their dumb shit. I'm not sure about the letting go, not caring part, but I just try to distract myself, I suppose. Wishing you all the best this holiday season, and I hope you're being kind and gentle to yourself as well. The reason why I loved this comment so much is that's exactly how I feel and what I've been practicing in our family, and how we are brothers. And so we get to experience these dynamics that we read about in real life. And I get to see Zach and how he is, where he is in life and where I am. And I have been very aware of how like the last handful of family events where political conversations have come up, cryptocurrency, electric cars, whatever it is, every conversation, it seems like, has a flair in our family with our parents that has this conservative, religious, evangelical Christian thing. And Zach's really good at having these conversations that ultimately don't become arguments. They're just can be intense conversations with our dad. And I am someone that's not as good at that. I get emotional. I get heated up. And so one of the things I've practiced like over a year now is I just completely don't talk.
And you've done very good at that. Dude.
And I don't talk anymore when I used to be talking all the time.
Yeah.
So anytime, even a conversation that's not even religious, it's just a conversation that feels in my gut like, oh no. A perfect example. I did respond to this one, but perfect example was when both my fiance's dad and my dad were having a conversation on how violent video games make kids more violent. And they asked me what I thought, and I did respond. But what was funny is when they asked me, I looked around at the table and I made eye contact with you, Alex, and Megan, and you guys all looked at me like, what are you going to do, buddy?
What are you going to say, big guy?
And it was like this feeling of me knowing like, damn, I'm really aware of this moment of how it's just about not having those conversations, right? Like that's where I've been at.
Yeah.
And you're in a different place sometimes. And I've noticed that. And so I think like we're living this life. We're in this family. We're trying to really our best to grow in our relationship and set boundaries. And that's a huge part of boundaries is boundaries in group texts, and boundaries at dinner, boundaries in group family conversations. Like there's just boundaries everywhere.
Yeah.
To keep yourself hopefully out of a place of having to care about shit that you shouldn't have to worry about caring about and you can just love.
Yeah.
Right.
And you have to care for yourself because the people closest to you that love you aren't going to care for you. At least the ones that you want. Like
in that regard, and these conversations, like that type of care.
Exactly.
You know, like such a huge part of conversation is like.
It's such a privilege to have a loved one, like a partner or a fiance or wife or husband, whatever you identify as, and that can support you in your trauma.
With your family, yeah.
With your family not supporting you in your trauma. Because
at those events too. So we're lucky.
People who are still in it don't believe in religious trauma. They think you're lost. And they think that's well, you have trauma because you walked away.
Yeah.
And when you can have someone just openly see the insanity and then agree with you that it's like, dude, your upbringing was wild. And you at least have that assurance, then you're like, my upbringing was wild. I'm going to let them be wild. Yeah. It's easier.
Don't get mad at me. I have one more comment to read on this post.
Yeah, go for it.
Real quick, because it's just so good. And this person I've seen post up on Religious Trauma Forum now a lot. Otherwise Natural 52 says, healing looks like different things at different moments. It's okay that you get triggered. The goal is for you to heal. The goal really isn't to educate others until you are fully healthy. Then you may choose to educate people with your time. But I don't recommend it until you have healed it because a distraction from the actual problem, which is that you are suffering and have needs that are not being met. If you can focus on your growth, that is the best thing for you. That's just kind of where I can conclude on this post that I was saying, if all of your energy is focused on your healing, you're going to be told by these religious people that you're the egotistical person. Mm-hmm. All you care about is yourself.
All you care about is yourself.
But actually what you're doing is you're focusing on the cosmos that illuminates from within you going outward. And that, my friends, is way more powerful than being like God first, giving yourself to God first. But if you realize that God is you first, it ends with you there. Like you are the Alpha and Omega. You are all that you are. That's where it should be.
Totally.
You know? All right. This is our last and final post. It's gonna be one of mine. Here we go. Posted on the ex-Christian forum by Music Might Kill 93. Ooh, it definitely could. Here we go with ignorant blanket generalizations by Christians again. Trigger warning, toxic religion. By Mark Hunter, Dels Baptist. In a world that coaches young people on how to reinterpret their Christian upbringing as abuse, I just want to publicly say how thankful I am for parents who required me to respect authority, read the Bible, and go to church. Mark Hunter.
Thanks, Mark Hunter. As white as they come.
Come on, make your point.
It's always a white guy. So anyone talking and thanking the oppressiveness of Christianity in their lives is always a white privileged male. And I'm a white privileged male too. So I'm saying that as like, of course, Mark. Thanks, Mark. I don't know, man. In a world that coaches young people on how to reinterpret their Christian upbringing as abuse, what world do you live in? You know how rare it is to see a podcast like this talking openly about religious trauma? Few, very few. And normally they don't continue doing it because we see the backlash. There's no world that's reinterpret their Christian upbringing as abuse.
Right.
What world are you talking about?
Right.
I hope that world comes true. That's the goal of this podcast, is to push that vendetta.
Well, I think it's your first response is that it's a white male, right?
Yeah.
And why is it that that's what you said? Why is it that like it's always white men?
Because the Bible loves white men. All the privilege in the Bible is to white men.
So check this out. Ex-Baptist here from one of the comments that I just found. Just row it away, Derry. Just row it away, Derry. From Ex-Baptist. Says, this virtue signaling is how Christian males mark their territory. They climb up the tallest tree or hill, beat their chests like King Kong, and shout this nonsense as a challenge and a benchmark for how the lesser males should behave. The lesser males, church members, mimic the pack alpha for status approval and access to mating. It is Stone Age pack behavior with superstition mixed in to control the women and protect the hierarchy.
Very well said.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
That might be why it's white males that are always getting out there on Twitter and X and being like, I just want to thank my abusers for the abuse.
Yeah.
That's basically what they're saying in this post.
Yeah.
They're saying, yo, in a world that like teaches young people what abuse is, I just want to thank my abusers for abusing me.
Yeah.
And so fuck the world for teaching people what abuse is.
Yeah.
Themperer Somnium says, so he gets up, so he sets up an argument against people unpacking trauma experienced in churches, then thinks, I love going to church is a perfect rebuttal. They say, in a world that coaches young people to reinterpret their abuser as abusive, I just wanted to say how thankful I am for my abuser.
Yeah.
It's
precisely.
What a post to end on for today.
Yeah. You know, and there's people who are like legit being abused that might even say the same thing in an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just what that great way to wrap it back to the first post we talked about, that it's an abusive relationship you have with God. And I'm so sorry this man, Mark, is lost in it.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get Mark in a safe house.
I think maybe it looks like there's somebody in that picture with Mark that need a safe house. Okay. That wraps it up. And so let's bring it on back now. And let's bring it back. You know, it's been a few weeks. We didn't do it the last episode. We've decided that we're not going to be doing this segment of our podcast when we interview people. We're going to keep this to ourselves, you know, because this is our thing.
It really is our thing.
Let's go on over to the
game cam.
Why would you do that?
Dude, I like to change it up every once in a while, okay?
Go the game cam. Here at the Moral Combat Podcast, we really believe in connecting with your inner child. And one of the ways that we do that here in the Moral Combat Podcast, after having, you know, deeper, vulnerable conversations around our past trauma, any trauma in general, or just having conversations, is by playing Mario Kart 64. That's Nintendo 64 here in studio with our Nintendo Switch. We, after going to church as kids, would come home after church and play Mario Kart. That was one of the things that we looked up to and looked forward to the most. And so we are redefining our childhood today and our adulthood and becoming... Anyways, let's just get...
Yeah, let's just go for it, dude.
I believe this is like...
This is 7.0. Block Fort 7.0.
7.0. Yeah, dude. That means we've played every single level in the battle
Six times
in the
and
start
we
7.
played Big Donut 7
Yeah, I'm
times.
Wario today. I'm for sure Wario. I knew you were going to be DK.
I'm
you
Yoshi.
son of a... I'm not Wario. Then. I'm Luigi.
Well, if you're...
We're the Green Bros. Block Fort 7.0.
Block Fort's the biggest one.
Who won the last game?
You won the last one. You just wanted me to say it. You knew it. You just wanted me to say it, dude.
I played really
you wanted
good,
me to
too.
say it out loud.
All right, here we go. 3, 2. Goodbye, Zachary. Take care. I'm coming for you. Oh, you want to just bounce around?
Jump around!
The problem, dude, is
Jump around!
if you just goof off, you're going to lose. You know that.
Yeah?
I take this very... Okay, I can't even play.
If you just run into walls, you're going to lose, too.
Seriously. Not a good start for me. Ooh, red shell. Why is the TV... The TV is kind of harder for me to see right now.
It's because you just took a sip of Jesus's juice.
No. I think it's because it's like... I don't think the angle's changed because we haven't played in a few weeks and we've been moving the TV around. I think that you're a cheater. We both have stars. Interesting.
Buddy.
Okay, so far this game is kind of hard for me to play.
Oh, dude!
That was massive, dude. That hurt. That really hurt.
Oh, man. I didn't think the timing was going to match up.
Oh,
you almost just did the same thing.
Not as exciting when I fail. What an explosive hit.
Thanks, man.
Okay. This game's very hard for me to play right now, for sure.
Watch out for all those green shells that are sent your way. We're all sons of mothers, dude.
That
No!
music in the background. That music in the background is definitely not the Mario Kart 64 music.
Or is it?
That's from yours truly, Nene from the Bay. Old
Nene
beats
from
I've
the
made, you know.
Darn. Oh, darn. Oh, my goodness.
Sorry, I have to focus right now. I can't talk.
No, tell him, Nate. Tell him about Nene from the Bay. Tell him about what the music
Nene
is.
from the Bay.
Tell him, dude. Don't get distracted.
We're both producers. We've been doing music our whole lives, and that was our first love, and always going to be our love and love of our lives. That's it. Come here. Where are you going? Come here. And so I play a lot of my old tracks I made that no one's ever heard and never ever will hear, but now they do in this podcast. Come here.
No. I'm going my own way. Come on, shoot, Nate.
I will, dude. I'm about to shoot.
Shoot, dude.
I'm about to.
Come on, dude.
I'm about to. Come here. Yeah. Come here, dude.
Shoot, dude.
Come on, bro.
Dude, shoot.
Why are you so scared?
Dude, just shoot. Just shoot, man. Where you going?
Here it goes.
Thanks.
Oh, I hit myself.
You hit yourself.
Buddy.
It's okay, man. Or is it okay?
I don't like the way you're playing.
You mean, well? Oh, dude, I just wasted that.
You mean good? Is that why? Because I'm playing good?
You're mad that I'm playing good?
Sometimes the games we play on this cast, I feel like, I hope nobody watches because they're boring.
Dude. Oh, goodness, dodging bullets.
Come here. Come here.
Where are you?
Oh!
Whoa. Did I hit you? Meant to do it. Knew it was gonna hit.
Dude, that was one of the worst games I've ever played.
And it's okay. You'll come back the next one.
That was so bad. Right now, I don't even feel like I can't even hold the controller right.
You are hungover from raving so hard, dude.
All it is from the loud beats. Man, I never used to like have headaches from loud bass and stuff. I think maybe it's louder now. I do. I think it is.
It probably is.
Or maybe my ears are just way more sensitive.
Oh, goodness. Where are you?
Drive my buddy.
Why do we both get stars? It's so annoying.
They plan it.
Where's the fun in that?
Buddy.
Come on, Daddy. Come
Oh! Too fast. No. Yo!
You had the last millisecond of that end star. Saved your life.
That scared me. It totally scared me. Dude, I'm so bad at this game right now.
Oh, you went the right way, though. I was going to pin you if you went the other way. Here we go.
Oh!
Dude.
And
you got a red shell.
Oh my god, I'm playing horrible.
You're playing pretty bad.
Oh my god. Horrible.
Oh, dude, I'm coming for you.
I'm so stupid. There's bananas all the way up there.
Oh yeah, those bananas finally hit.
Just kill me, dude.
Dude, you haven't
so over this
You haven't
game.
got one balloon.
I'm so over this
This might
game.
be the first actual wipe where you didn't get one balloon on me.
I really don't want to play this game anymore. I want this to be over.
Well, you got your wish.
Yeah, I want this to be over.
Yeah, you're gonna come with the star? Come on, let's go. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Come on, dude. Come on.
No! Oh, great shells everywhere! Wow!
No, bananas!
Oh my god, the bananas saved you. The banana
Oh, dude, thanks for laying those bananas down. No!
Oh! Oh! Oh my god, this is so bad. Ah! Oh, this whole entire episode right now is so annoying because all you're hearing is me grunting and moaning. And
You are moaning and grunting pretty hard.
Because I
But
feel
you are
that
having
way,
you are
dude.
having a hard time. Oh my goodness.
all-
oh my goodness.
All of my
There's
hearing is
a
off.
lot of obstacles, dude. A lot of obstacles in this game. Okay, so you're up. You're downstairs now. Downstairs. Get him.
Okay. I mean, everyone wishes that this game ends soon, but if I win just from like some miraculous reason,
It'd be a
then
great game.
it'll be really annoying.
Oh goodness. Don't hit those. Don't hit them. I want that one. My bananas do well. My bananas do well.
My bananas do. Ah!
Oh, dude. What a great way that would be to get you. Oh! No! Okay, I lost balloon. It's not going to be a full swipe. It's not going to be a full swipe today. But I'm going to get you right now.
Come get me. Come get me. Yeah. Yeah, come get me.
You really are lingering on this.
Come get me.
Trying not to die.
Oh, that's it. Good job. Well played.
Get smashed, dude.
Well played. I mean, it was kind of obvious. That was a little bit nerve-wracking. Like, maybe Nathan's going to pull through.
No,
But it was pretty obvious that I don't know. It's been, now that we're not playing all the time, it's like
It's the loud music, man, you listened to last night.
dude, I'm just like all Come on, so I want up. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you need. Up. 1, 2, 3.
Did the DJ do stuff like this where it was like, how you feel, San Francisco?
No, dude. Oh my god, why did you have to do that?
It's every DJ in the world, dude.
They did a pretty good job. There was like, they spoke a couple times and it worked because it was like barely, they didn't talk in the mic at all.
Yeah.
Things are changing a little bit in the
Profesh.
DJ culture. Yeah. It's not as like.
You also went to like the millennial club last night.
Well,
with,
no,
like,
there was a bunch of Gen Z. It was
DJs.
Fresh Fest San Francisco, and it's happening tonight and tomorrow. And thanks to my
they're
lovely
doing
love
Monday,
of my life,
New Year's Day.
fiance Megan, she gets us out there to have fun still.
They're doing a New Year's Day section.
It's a
too?
3-day music festival.
I know, but I thought it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
No,
going
it's
into New
Saturday,
Year's.
Sunday, Monday.
Ew. No one wants to go to a rave on a Monday, dude.
I think there's a lot of people.
Hashtag case of the Monday.
Good game.
Good game, dude.
Echo. Garage on. Well, happy New Year.
Happy
2024. Super, super excited. Love you all. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. And the new listeners, some of you have reached out. Love you. Thank you for being here.
Love you.
And I'm happy to have you.
Happy to have.
We are shooting for an interview next episode. Let's make sure that happens. Zachary, anything?
Text in your questions.
Text in your question. If you made it this far.
Yeah, definitely if you made it this far, just text us a question. Even if it's like,
Dude, if you made it this far, text us and be like, hey, I made it to 83 minutes.
yeah. Yep. Anyone that made it to 83 minutes, just throw a text. I'll send you $100.
Yeah, we'll interview you.
And we'll interview you. I'll just be like, wow, how'd you get this far?
That's it.
All right, dude, we're done.
All right, bye.
Bye, everybody. Happy New Year.
Bye.